this picture here, I've actually got it as my screensaver still now. This picture was from the first event back after COVID. I think July 31st, I think, maybe, something like that. And the reason why it means a lot to me is just because, like, you know, we all went through so much in that period of time. As not only DJs, but I guess as like humans or whatever. So it just meant a lot to me. It was like a release, like, you know, to me jumping up on the stage was a big release. But the main thing about it was, you know, one of my friends said to me, because I put it on Instagram or something, and I was like, this is 19 months of hard work. Because, you know, obviously I did put a lot of hard work in during COVID. And he was like, nah, it's not 19 months, this is like 20 years of hard work. And that kind of resonated with me. I was a bit like, yeah, because, you know, I did 2 shows back to back, over 1,000 people each one. And it was kind of like, yeah, it was kind of like I finally arrived. I got started DJing when I was probably last year of high school. I mainly got into it, I mean, I've always been into music and always loved music the same way that, you know, obviously everybody who eventually works in music says. But for me, it was like, I never really understood what a DJ was, even like late 90s, I still didn't really know. Like I thought, oh, because the DJs that we used to see were like, you know, Disco Daves, you know what I mean? Like Agadoo. So I thought, DJ. But then eventually, like as I started to get older and kind of explore different avenues of music, I realized, oh, so that's what a DJ is. And I was always the one in school where, like, you know, we'd take our Walkmans in, or, yeah, it was Walkmans back then. And I'd be like, yo, listen to this, listen to this. And it kind of gave me that kind of feeling of like, maybe, you know, maybe I'm supposed to do this. Maybe I'm supposed to play music to other people, you know. And then the rest was history. My mum bought my turntables or decks that year after Christmas, put them in the garage, and here we are. I mean, the first music that I started DJing was, well, it's not old, it's old school garage now, but back then it was just garage. I mean, that was what was big, like, for us in Wolves, and I guess probably the UK, like, as far as like black music, that was like the top music at the time, garage. So that's what I started playing. But that literally lasted about, if I'm honest with you, maybe 4 weeks. And then eventually that was when I realized that, oh, you can actually, like, I can mix and play the music that I listen to, which was R&B, which is that's all I used to listen to. So I was like, hang on, so I can do what I do with like the garage, but I can do it with R&B, and that's it. So I first started playing garage like most kids did my age back then, but we soon moved on. Music I was listening to growing up, yeah, heavily R&B, very much like Stevie Wonder, and a lot of 90s, like early 90s R&B. So, wow, what we're talking like Bobby Brown, just loads of like early 90s R&B. And then as time went on, that's all it was in my house, really, to be honest. My mum listened to a lot of UB40, George Benson. So I was heavily influenced in that music from right at the gate, really. And that's all we used to listen to in our house. I mean, and then MTV became really popular. There was a show called Amore. I don't know, that's probably before most people's time, but they used to play like R&B videos late at night. And then that's when I used to catch on to, wow, like, you know what I mean? Silk, Joe, Jodeci, like all these groups. And I was just like, wow, this is me, man. So yeah, I mean, that kind of leads on to it. The name comes from that, really. A lot of my friends at the time, peers, they were all into garage or what was popular. But for me, because I was listening to that at home, that's all I used to listen to. So when I started DJing, like, I didn't really think of like, oh, I needed a name or anything. But while people was listening to garage and pirate radio tapes and stuff on their Walkman, it would be me listening to R&B. And at the time, there was a popular group called Silk. They had a song called, what was it? Freak Me, which was then covered by Another Level. I'm showing my age again. But And then someone says, "Ah, oh, where's Silky Smooth? Where's Silk with the songs?" And then there you go. That's kind of, it's not anything special, but that's where the name comes from. The first step as a DJ, you know, happened pretty much the same year. I entered the competition in Heathtown, and then a couple of guys who was part of the radio station, the community radio station, Skyline, they wanted me on the radio, and then that was, I mean, I really, really enjoyed that time of my life, being on the radio, on Skyline, and that's kind of where it started. Like literally, as soon as I started DJing and playing in clubs, I kind of made the move into radio. And then from then, my radio kind of career it's been quite vast, really. I mean, I've pretty much done every major station in the country. So yeah, that's where it started, Skyline, right here in Wolves. Yeah, I mean, one of the things about Skyline was that they used to have an annual birthday party every year at the Culture Centre, which I don't think is there anymore. They got knocked down, right? Yeah, so they used to have an annual birthday party, and like they always used to be on me. Country and the late Dred Lester was like, "So we want you to play. We want you to play." I was like, "I don't know, man. Like, I've seen it, man. It's a bit, you know what I mean? It's not really my thing." And being the only white kid in there, it was a bit like. But the good thing about it is, and what I love about the culture, and even just that back then, it was, as long as you could run tune, you was all right, man. You know what I mean? You could, they didn't mind, as long as you respected the music, and they respected you, you was good. So yeah, it was a little bit daunting being in like Culture Centre. There was a lot of raves like that I was playing at back then. That was a bit like, it's different now, you know. But that was one of the most important things to me. Like for when I started, was like I just wanted to be not accepted, because I think that's a bit of a pick me word, but like I wanted to be like respected, but like on a level, on a playing level field, as opposed to like not equal. And I believe I was able to do that from quite early on. Working with artists, a lot of the times that I did do that was a lot of after parties. So they would come over and tour, and then I would get a chance to DJ at their after show. And I've done a lot of concerts as well, from the likes of Drake, J. Cole, Nas, Rick Ross. I mean, the list is pretty much endless as far as like artists that I've worked with. And I think that comes a lot of like, you know, you do one show for the promoter or whoever it is, and then there's a trust thing, because trust, man, DJing for artists is hard work, man. Like, it is. I mean, everything that you hear about is, I mean, changing songs the same night, changing songs. You play one song that they told you to play, but then they change their mind, and it's crazy. But one thing I love about concerts is, you know, you play before the artist comes on, so everybody that is there to see the artist, but they're already on a vibe, so it's like it's a job without the job kind of thing. So I mean, yeah, the big thing during COVID when I was doing the Insta Lives was everyone was like, "Where's Silk get these dubs from? What's going on here?" But like the dub plate thing, I've been doing since like 2009. So dub plate culture obviously is a massive thing within reggae and dancehall. And again, being on Skyline from a young age, I was already kind of like that was like me, like I was like, wow, what is this? Like the songs with your names in and people saying these, and I was just like proper involved. And then, you know, you just become fans of the DJs, fans of the selectors, fans of like of everything of that culture. And then I just, you know, you just hit someone up and say, yo, how do I get one? Like, and then that's how it started. And the thing is as well with me, the main reason why I started doing dubs is not to be like a big soundman or a Clash or whatever. It was because I wasn't confident on the microphone. Outside, I mean, on the radio I used to talk rubbish, but being in the clubs I wasn't really confident to kind of like talk in front of crowds. I didn't know what to say, or, you know, it's really awkward like being in front of like 500 people. It's like, so I used to get stuck. So I used to talk with the music. One of the DJs that I came up with, there's a guy called the Sante, his name's Bernard, he works for the BBC now. And he used to say to me, Silk, I don't even talk, I just talk with my hands. And that was one thing that I took on board. I was like, talk with your hands, okay. So then when I found out about the dub culture and how that runs, I was like, So I can pretty much tell people that it's me playing without having to tell them that it's me playing, and that's where it came from. And now it's just kind of a part of what people expect. Relevance is always a big thing for me. Like staying relevant and keeping up with the times was always a big thing for me. So branding, I haven't really changed. Like the way that I play, the music that I play is pretty much the same from when, 2000, like 22 years ago, like when I started. There's nothing changed. Like everything about my brand is pretty much what it was back then. I haven't changed. And I think that's really important to me, like authenticity. I mean, I sit in meetings with some of the biggest people in the music industry, and I say to them, look, the most important thing for me is authenticity. It needs to be me. It needs to be honest, because that's what I've always been about. So like my brand has always stayed the same. But again, as I've gotten older and now kind of solidified myself more within the scene, I feel like my brand has to represent like what people think it is, if you get what I mean. Like I got this thing, whoosh. I mean, whoosh, what does it mean? I don't know. You know what I mean? What the shutdown was my name of my show from back on Pirate Radio 20 years ago. What does it mean? Not really anything. I think it's that thing of like, when Silk's on a flyer, we know what we're gonna get. And that's what I want. Like when people see my name on a flyer, see my name on a radio show, see my name on whatever, they know exactly what they're gonna get. That's what my brand is and has always been. You can't this DJ Silk, me no matter about you, I mean no care about that. Young Silk, life in Wolverhampton. I mean, it was. I didn't really, like I said, I didn't really have a great childhood. Like when I look back, I didn't really know who I was until I started playing music. If I'm honest with that, that's who I found when I found out who Silk is like. But like growing up was okay, there was a lot more to do back then than there is now for the kids. I tell my son that all the time, there's not much now. There was a lot more back then. But the main thing for me for Wolverhampton is the multicultural side of things. Like I said, when I was at school, you had friends that was from every background, black, Asian, white, whatever. Different religions, different, like some people had money, some people didn't have money. I think that's one of the things that I love about Wolves. Is like, you grow up and you meet people that all those things don't even matter because, you're from Wolves, like, you know what I mean? Like, you just, it's kind of, I carry Wolverhampton on my back even now. Like, people always associate me with Birmingham, but I stop them and go, no, I'm from Wolverhampton, you know what I mean? Like, I'm proud of being from Wolves, my family here, my kids, everybody. This city's been good to me, so. But as a child, like, I kind of think my life didn't really start until I touched turntables. That's when my life kind of kicked off. How do I know I can make a career out of DJing? I didn't really, if I'm honest with you. When I first started DJing, it was more like just, I started playing and then someone said to me like, oh, you can charge for this, I was like, what? So then I did, and not much money. And then as time went on, I started to realize like, okay, we can create a living with this. But I always had like backup jobs. You know what I mean? I didn't just make this my main focus. I always had like a secondary income. And, I tell my kids this all the time. I say, oh, you've got to have a backup. But if I'm totally honest with them, don't have a backup. The backup was the worst thing I ever done. I only really had a backup because of them, of raising kids, and paying for mortgage and stuff like that. But realistically, like if I look back at my life, there were certain decisions that I made when I was younger, within my career, that if I would have gone for it, we would have been where we are now a lot sooner. But you don't know that, and you can make a career out of anything now. You can make money from anything. This is not the 90s anymore. This is like, what is it now? 2022? Yeah, so you can make money from anything. You just got to be good at something, have a talent, and just have a drive, and you can make a career out of anything. And if I'd have known that back then, like I said, I would have made a career a lot earlier. Yeah, so when COVID landed, again, like for most of us, we all thought it was going to last like, I don't know, a week. I remember saying to a light guy at one of my gigs, I was like, see you in a week. And then 19 months went by. And I just thought to myself, like, what am I gonna, like, I've got to keep active. Like, I am like, that's what I am. Like, I have to keep within this thing called DJing. And I remember I was on Instagram, and I saw a DJ from America, D Nice, I think his name, yeah, D Nice. And he was on Instagram Live playing music. I was thinking to myself, what the hell? I need to do this. So then one Saturday I went on, just didn't tell no one, just went on. I had like 50 people, which was all right at the time. And then I thought, you know what? We're going to be stuck in that race for a while here. So I need to bring the vibe to Instagram. And obviously I didn't realize how much it would have brought. I mean, for me, you know, when I look back at my life and I think of COVID, a lot of people are going to think of a horrible time, and yes, it was. But for me, life-changing is what COVID was for me. Because not only was it life-changing, like the brand went bigger and everything kind of exploded a little bit more than it used to, but like I found out what music does for people. And I always thought music was just like, you go out and enjoy yourself, but I didn't realize like that it changes the way people feel about themselves, man. And when the messages that I used to get was just mind-blowing, you know what I mean? Like I'd wake up on a Sunday after doing a Saturday show on Instagram, and people would be like, I was at my lowest of lows, you know, I lost my mum, or I've got cancer. Messages from people saying that they were going to kill themselves or thinking about it. I had messages from people in the NHS saying they were work non-stop and that the only release that they had was when they could lock into the show, things like that. I was just mind blown. And it just showed me more than, this wasn't about Silk anymore. You know what I mean? That kind of went out the window the first couple shows. It was like what I'm doing for everybody else. And you know, that's what led me on to doing the 12-hour one for charity for the kids, because it wasn't about me anymore. It was about for the rest of the people. And then I used to love, and I still love to this day when I see it in my memories, like people used to send me videos of them and the family dancing. You know what I mean? It was, yeah. Music is more than what it was for me before. Music before COVID was a way of earning money, but music after COVID, it's not about me anymore. It's about everybody else. I get a lot of younger DJs message me and ask me, you know, how do we do this and how do we do that? And I just say to them, like, there's no route. Do you get what I'm saying? There's no one said route. You've just got to be persistent. You've got to keep out there, but you've got to focus on the one thing that you do, and that's be a DJ. You know what I mean? Like, you could be a good-looking guy and that'll get you so far, a good-looking girl, that might get you so far, but eventually that's going to run out. People are going to get bored of that. They want to know whether you are actually good at what, like if you want a booking, for example, you know, are you a good DJ or what? Like eventually it's going to come to that. But I would just say to them again, just be yourself. Don't try and be anybody else. Find your own route. Find your own way and style of playing and brand, and obviously take bits from everybody else, but just be yourself. Do you know what I mean? Don't try and be me or anyone else, because eventually you're gonna have to be yourself eventually. As a DJ, what do I want to be remembered by? My legacy. I just want to be that guy. Like when people look back and they think about the good times that they had in their life, I just want to be the guy that pops up now and then. You know what I mean? Like, oh, remember them times there? Yeah, who was the DJ? Silk. You know what I mean? I just want to be remembered as that guy. Obviously, as a man, you know, I have a different legacy with my children and what I want to be remembered by them. But for Silk and the DJ side of me, yeah, I want to. That's all. As long as I'm remembered as the guy that was always himself, stayed true to himself, and brought the vibe and brought the party. I mean, my job's done then, as far as a legacy. In my spare time, when I'm not playing music, you see, the thing is with this music thing, right, there's hardly any spare time. My mind is constantly on this. And I say this to people all the time, like, there's no difference between Jason, which is my real name, and Silk. There is no difference. It's the same person. Like, I'm literally in this interview now, and there's thoughts coming in my mind of like, oh, when I get back, I need to make sure I do this, and I need to do that. It's just a non-stop thing. But there are times when I do get to wind down. I love watching TV and series. I don't watch TV. I watch like series and films. I play golf. Is one of my things that I've been doing since a kid. I like jiu-jitsu, which is like a martial art. Lately, the past few years, I've been concentrating on being fit and looking after my health and spending time with my kids. I mean, as a man and as a father, there's no better. That's the wind down time, even though it's rough. And I just had a dog, but you know, it's when I'm not DJing or not thinking about the music life, it's spending time with my missus, my kids, and relaxing. What song best describes me? I mean, my favourite song of all time is Biggie, One More Chance, because it's the first video that I ever remember seeing from a hip hop artist. But because the song's like a hip hop record, but with like an R&B chorus and an R&B sample, it kind of best describes me because that's kind of like me. The only difference is maybe you could chuck a little, Bounty Killer on there or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? I know. But yeah, Biggie, One More Chance is what describes me. People always ask me as well, what's the one song that you want played at your funeral? I always get that one. Weird people, man. And I say, I want B.I.G., Sky's the Limit. Just play that at my funeral, let that ring out. And if nobody don't cry, then I'm going to haunt them.
Silk the ghost.
I know. Man, can you imagine that? Just bumping tunes in your ear. Wake up. Whoosh. 3 words that people would describe me as. Depends, like, if they know me, I guess. If you know me, loyal, honest, and loving, if you know me. But from the DJ side of things, what I want people to remember me as, just authentic, real, and honest. They're 3 pretty similar words, but you could kind of put it towards anything. Like, I am authentic and real in the music that I play, what I represent, the brand that I am. And honest is, I've been the same person that I was from 22 years ago when I started. The misconceptions that people have about me, I don't know, maybe those have changed now a little bit because of the Insta Lives, I think. Because before, you never really had a window into me, if you know what I mean. It was just that hour, 45-minute set, hour set. So you never really knew. So now I kind of think people think that I like a good time. But misconceptions, maybe that I don't think there were misconceptions. I think people used to think I was quite miserable, but I was. I didn't really love what I did. It was just for the money. So there weren't really misconceptions. Maybe that I don't care. Well, but I do. I know. I don't think there's any misconceptions. You'd have to ask other people. I don't know. It's a tough one. Do you know what? Like, I haven't got a motto. I had something tattooed on my arm a while ago. What does it say? Yeah, okay. So I had something tattooed on my arm a while ago, and it says, "All I ever wanted to be is what I have become." Now, I put that on my arm 12 years ago, and at the time, I didn't believe it. But now that I'm older, all I ever wanted to be is what I've become. The phrase that I live by has to be, someone told me, I think it was like in one of my jiu-jitsu classes, it's one of their terms they use to, if you're worried about you're not kind of excelling in what you're doing. And I just took it on board, and I've thought about that ever since then, 4 years ago. And it's keep showing up. It's what I tell everyone, like, don't be disheartened because something didn't go your way once or twice, or you're not where you thought you would have been. Just keep turning up, keep showing up, and eventually it'll happen. Keep showing up.